what is wrong with giving gay people safety advice when there is clearly an absolute nutcase on the loose killing gay people?
Right. So let's get this into perspective. First of all, I want to say very clearly, I'm a big supporter of the police. The real issue here is the police are understaffed. There are not enough police. But you come out of Heaven nightclub, you go onto Villiers Street. We have 3-4 attacks on Villiers Street every weekend. It's a well-lit area. The biggest problem is that there is no CCTV. There's one camera on Villiers Street. Villiers Street is probably the second busiest street in central London, second to Oxford Street. There are no CCTV, so the gangland crimes on there and the people that attack people, they know they can do it because it's not on camera. Maybe saying stay away from Dimley Street, why not actually make them well lit? Why not have CCTV? Why not have police on these busy streets? That is the answer, not to say avoid. Listen, I wouldn't walk on a Dimley Street at night, but I walk home on very well lit street and people are being attacked. So, the fact of the matter is...
Why can't you argue for both? I mean, what you've just described, the understaffing of police, to me, is even more reason to say to people, look, this is safety advice, keep yourselves safe. And to me, this is the same principle. I should be able to leave my front door open at night, but I don't because, unfortunately, there are horrible people out there that might try and break in. Now, if someone does break in, it's not my fault if they break in, but I still take precautions to stop that happening. Isn't this the same?
But the problem is that when I have to walk home at night at 4 a.m. when I finish work, and I have to walk through dark streets to get home. It's dimly lit. It's very, very, certain areas are very badly lit. There are only certain ways I can get home. So I have to walk, sometimes I have to get security to walk me home because the streets are so horrible.
But do you do that whilst listening to loud music? Because that's the other part of it as well. And it is, I think it is a fair comment, isn't it? For everyone, not just gay men, but there is too much, I think, when we see people, men and women, walking around at night in the dark with their headphones on, sort of looking at their phones, and they're not self-aware of their surroundings.
But listen, I don't see people, people leave the club, they may be listening to music on headphones. That's not listening to loud music, is it? That's listening to music on their headphones. But
you're not aware of your surroundings in the middle of the night when you're walking through the streets of London.
I'm very aware of my surroundings on my way home, and a lot of our customers are very aware of their surroundings on their way home, but they still get attacked. I've been threatened on the way home. There is, you can't literally, I don't think the way this is worded, yes, we should all be safe, but you wouldn't say to a Jewish man, don't go to synagogue because you may get attacked. Hate crime is up at the moment. Hate crime is up so badly at the moment.
No, but you might say to that Jewish man, be careful when you go in and out of synagogue. Yeah, make sure that you take a route where other people are around.
But maybe not. Maybe the answer is not to have dimly lit areas at 4 a.m.
But you can argue for both. You can argue for both. I agree. I agree that there shouldn't be dimly lit areas. I agree. But I don't see why you can't argue for both. And what worries me about this story is there are lots of people, I'm not saying you're one of them, there are lots of people on social media saying, well, I want to take the moral high ground and say this is terrible. I'd rather not care about the moral high ground and keep people safe. And if this keeps one more person safe by taking this advice...
I agree on one part of that. I want people to be safe. I do not run venues for people to get attacked on the way home. But the issue is that when people leave my venues, there are gang members at the top of the street, and it's very, very, very well organised. And we reported to the police, and it's still not been dealt with. It's been going on for years.
What's happening with these gang members? Who are they?
Well, you just have to, it's fairly obvious. You just need to see, you can see them hanging around on
and
the street.
And are they waiting to specifically attack gay people?
Yes.
Or is it...
I mean, I'll give you for instance, we had a gang member hanging around outside our venue, literally watching the venue. We rang 999. It took 20 minutes before we got through to the police. 20 minutes, and then they said they didn't have anyone available. This was a Saturday night. That's how busy the police are. They didn't have anyone available. Then this person was arrested on Monday, 2 days later, because he did it again. But we had to wait till Monday for him to be arrested.
No, I mean,
You know,
you're not. I'm not arguing with the fact that the police are under-resourced. I'm not arguing with the fact that there are too many dimly lit areas. I'm not arguing with any of that. What I'm saying is, I don't understand why you can't complain. You can't have the safety advice in conjunction with
you,
being annoyed about those things. And
but you can give that safety advice, but the problem is that isn't the answer.
do you
The
think it leads
answer
to
is,
victim blaming? I mean, do you think that is also a part
well,
of this?
like, if I get attacked on the way home because I have to go down a dim street, then it's not my fault because that is my way home. So I cannot be blamed for that. There is no other way home. There are certain routes that I have to go. There are certain ways, and I should also add, part of my route home is going along Charing Cross Road, and it is absolutely hideous at 3-4 in the morning. It's so dangerous because of the people coming out of other venues and all that.
Oh, I mean, I've got great experience. I used to do an overnight show and used to have to walk exactly past the McDonald's beside Heaven. I know it's almost like a war zone when you go past there at that time of the morning. But I think the people that this advice is for are those that perhaps, like you, don't have a choice. You have to walk a certain way to get home because of where you live. But some people might have a choice. Some people might not think wearing your headphones or looking at your phone late at night, walking somewhere. I'm not saying you do that, but other people might. They might not consider that they're compromising their safety by doing so. And
I think. But then maybe that advice of don't walk in there shouldn't be aimed at gay people. It should be aimed at everybody. Maybe that's the issue. The comments are aimed at gay people. Why not aim it at everybody? Everybody who walks down a dimly lit street at 4 a.m. is putting themselves at risk. So it's no point targeting it at one community. Why not say it to everybody? Give it safety advice. Because, women are at risk as well.
But women don't like it when we give this advice. After the death of Sarah Everard, we did exactly the same thing. When is safety advice victim blaming? And many women said, no, you can't. We shouldn't be telling women not to walk home late at night in certain areas because that is victim blaming if something goes wrong.
Look, you should be, maybe not target, say it to everybody. Say, look, when you go home, if you go, my advice to people, I give advice to people. We tell people, various ways of going home. We try and advise people not to go home alone. It's like, you come to a club or a bar with a friend, leave with a friend, safety in numbers, but you shouldn't target a whole community. It's safety advice should be for everybody.
Oh, and on that, I actually completely agree. And that's why I was very careful when I said, look, we should tell women, we should tell men, we should tell everyone to be aware of their surroundings, aware of who's around them.
When people get attacked, often, look, there are homophobic crimes, there are anti-Semitic crimes, there are racist crimes, there are so many different hate crimes going at the moment. But in general, people the safety rules should be for everyone. So I do understand why people within the LGBT community would be angry at those comments, because those safety advice should be to everyone. You're saying you shouldn't be just saying it to gay people, do not go down a dimly street. You should be saying it to everybody. Right. But in the meantime, what we should be looking at is going, why are streets dimly lit? Where is the CCTV? Let's make people safe so that this would not be a conversation.
All right, one more thing I'm going to ask you about, actually, while we've got you here. It'd be remiss of me not to. Bearing in mind, it's fair to say you're one of the most famous nightclub owners, not only in the country, but in the world. I'm just trying to get back in your good books now, Jeremy. That the government have actually stated today they are going to press ahead with these vaccine passports for nightclubs and other crowded indoor venues. It's apparently the end of September, so this month, that they're going to be brought in 100%. That is definite. Does that worry you, bearing in mind the losses that you've suffered?
Does it have to go to a vote first? So is it definitely? Because Labour have said they will vote against it. There'll be backbenchers that vote against it. So it's not guaranteed. There will be, but of course, bearing in mind that the government have got an 80 majority, unless a substantial number of backbenchers vote against it, this will end up enshrined in law. So it's looking likely. You're right to point out it's not a done deal, but it's looking likely. Yeah, I think the problem is with this is like, what is the definition of a nightclub? What is going to, in other European countries, they have the vaccine passport, but it's very It's everywhere. It's a bar, it's a club, it's a restaurant. You need the vaccine passport. I'm a big supporter of the vaccine, so I would encourage it. By the way, just can I throw in, we are doing a vaccine day on Saturday outside GAY Bar in Old Country. So anybody who has not been vaccinated and wants to be vaccinated, come along to Old Country.
But should people be turned away from your venue if they've not got a passport proving that they've been vaccinated or not?
Well, we don't know. That will be dependent on the law, won't it? At the end of September.
Do you think it will affect your trade? Do you think people will therefore? Because I'm worried about how much you and other traders like you have lost over the pandemic.
I would hope it's going to encourage people to get vaccinated. I think it's very important that we do get vaccinated. To me, vaccination is not just about protecting yourself, it's about protecting other people, which is why we do Vaccine Day. I'm a big supporter of the vaccine. I would like to see more people vaccinated. Yes, obviously I'm concerned about business, but also I have struggled throughout this pandemic. I struggle being inside my own venue. I don't go on the dance floor. So maybe I'll feel a little bit safer if the passport brought in. But I do think that when, they need to be more definition about what the rules are, because I have venues like GAY Bar and GAY Late. Will they be included in this? It could be that you go to GAY Bar and you can dance in there, and because the capacity is only 450, will that therefore be you don't need the vaccine passport, but then you go to heaven and you do? The problem throughout this whole pandemic is that the government are so unclear. So why pinpoint nightclub? Why not just go across the board and go, this is the rule for everybody, and then we'll all get the vaccine?
Well, listen, Jeremy, I'm sad to hear you're not on the GAY dance floor, but am I still welcome on the GAY dance floor?
Well, will you have the double vaccine?
I have had the double vaccine. I'm not keen on vaccine passports, but I've had the vaccine without a doubt.